Hello and welcome to part 2 of our overview of employment law. This is still Matt Nagel, and the whole reason of the second section is to walk you through the nuts and bolts, how the class is actually put together, how the assignments are going to work. So this is really hopefully going to answer a lot of your questions on how to succeed in this class. So it all is based from our course homepage. So here you're going to see the information about me, how to get a hold of me. Feel free to reach out anytime. It's my job to make sure that your questions are answered. Now, the right-hand side here is going to have your syllabus. Make sure you're reading this to fully understand when things are due, what is due, where the page numbers of certain things are. This also is going to have a link to how to navigate your online course. Many of you have seen this before. Please just take a quick glance at it again. It really helps explain inside Ranken and how to navigate through these things. We'll come back to the extra credit and the case dissection formats, but this is where these are located. The important stuff, you have your key contact lists, other information for signing up for the course. If you have any questions on the administrative side, this is where you're going to find those contact informations. These are our weekly PowerPoints. Hopefully you've all been through the pre-work now, and you should be working through chapters 2 and 3 here for the end of week 1. We also are going to read an article one week about retaliation. This is where that article is located. There's also a few websites, so you can do some research if you want, or just to get some other background. These are not required readings. You aren't going to necessarily need these for the course, except to maybe expand upon your individual dissections. So if we go over to Coursework, and I will view this as a student just so I have the same thing that you guys have, you can see that the course is broken down into 8 weeks. Every single assignment in the course is currently open for you to complete, including the final exam. I do this because I understand that people have real lives. They have families, they have jobs, it's summertime, you might be traveling, you might be on vacation. Life happens. You cannot always accomplish your goals and get your classwork done. I understand we're all working adults, and it happens. So you can go through and complete the entire course right now if you so desire. I do not recommend that you do that, simply because each week will build on itself and build on the others before it, and you're waiting for that light bulb moment to come on. Working through the course kind of as it's designed, it'll happen faster and easier. But, for example, you feel like, hey, I've got a pretty good grasp on how to complete a what's your opinion. I'm going to work through and get all those done now because I know I'm going to be on vacation in 2 weeks. Do that. Knock those out, because I do not, as a rule, give people extensions. I don't allow people to make up work. Hopefully this isn't because I'm just a jerk about things, and I have been accused of that in the past. More importantly, though, this class is only 8 weeks long. If you fall behind, your ability to catch up and make things up is going to be very difficult. On the other hand, the answers to things do not reveal themselves until after the due date. So if I have to extend the due date, that is holding back the rest of your classmates. And I understand that their lives and their schedules may not have the same impact that yours do, but we all have to be respectful of each other, and the way to do that is respect everybody's time and not grant extensions. It's also harder on me when I have to answer people, oh, why isn't this graded, why isn't this available? Well, we're waiting on so-and-so to finish. Then I have to answer questions, why so-and-so got more time. It just becomes a mess. So all the deadlines are listed. They are generally, everything is due at 11:55 p.m. on Sunday evenings. This is done, so there's no midnight question. Before we had things due at midnight, there was always an issue about, oh, I thought that was 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. It's 11:55 p.m., nighttime on a Sunday. So every week you're going to have a quiz. Every week you're going to have a what's your opinion. Week 1 is a little bit different in that you have your orientation quiz. as well as your normal week 1 quiz. Week 1 is due this Sunday at 11:55 p.m. And I understand the lectures kind of come in the middle of that week. Every week we are going to have a topic of things we are going to cover, and under each assignment, it's essentially the instructions on how to complete things. A lot of these are very similar. For example, the instructions on every what's your opinion are the same. I want to know what you think. I want to know what your ideas are on these subjects. So if we want to complete the orientation quiz, we can just click it, and you start the quiz. If you've taken some online classes before, these should all look fairly similar. There's no big surprises here. The orientation quiz just asks some basic information, some basic questions that you should get almost all of the answers to from this lecture and just reading the syllabus. So answer some questions. You want to submit the quiz. I didn't do real well on it. The answers to this will not appear until after the due date. So just because you completed it on Wednesday doesn't mean that the answers are going to be available. But if you check back on Monday, they should all be there so you can see where you messed up. Outside of the orientation quiz, these quizzes are extremely difficult. I have you for 8 weeks, and I have to cram about 3 semesters of law school, which isn't easy in the first place. The book can only give you so much knowledge. So one way that we have really put together an opportunity for you to master the material is letting the quizzes go outside what you're going to read in the book. So if you took Human Resource Manager with me, the quizzes, you could almost always find the answer almost verbatim in the book. But the quizzes in employment law are not going to be found in the book verbatim. You're going to find the answers, you're going to find the rationale in the book, but you aren't going to be able to just highlight a sentence and see that it appears on the quiz. To get these questions correct, you are going to have to truly master and understand the material. The most important advice I can give you in answering these quizzes: slow down. Read every single word, read every single option, and understand why something is correct or incorrect. One of my all-time favorite criticisms I've gotten in this class is I was accused of being a wordsmith and playing games with words. Absolutely. The law is written in black and white, but we try to apply black and white law to technicolor people. And that's why we have lawyers, that's why we have judges that have to figure out disputes between people. Single words in that black and white law can make a world of difference. It can be the difference between a case being thrown out or a case winning millions of dollars against your company. So understand that words have power. Even one little change in a word can make a huge difference. So take your time, slow down, and understand that you aren't going to be able to rip these directly from the pages of the book or directly from the PowerPoint. You are going to actually have to slow down and understand, yes, I now completely get the point of this question. Let's work through this first one together. Under U.S. employment laws, employees have the right to not be fired as long as they do a good job and the employer's financial condition does not require that employment levels be cut. Well, we learned in part 1 of the PowerPoint that employment at will is the U.S. system. So that's not correct. We know this is wrong because people can be fired at any time for anything unless they fall under an exception. Now, this answer isn't talking about any exceptions, just saying they can't be fired. Okay, so part 2 says, so we know A is incorrect. B, be treated fairly in all aspects of the workplace, including receiving fair compensation. Well, fair is a pretty squishy word. and I feel like I've been treated unfairly lots of times at work. So I'm thinking back to the reading, I'm thinking back to the PowerPoints and the lecture, and nowhere in there did it say that I had to be treated fairly. It said I couldn't be discriminated against. It said that there were certain laws to protect some of my rights, but it never said I had to be treated fairly. So I think B is wrong as well. And it said have health insurance and other basic benefits without exception, provided that they are full-time employees. Well, I know that's wrong because lots of people have jobs that don't get health insurance. That's a benefit that some employers give. It's a benefit that some employers are required to give under the Affordable Care Act, but I know there's exceptions to that. So I'm going to say the employees don't have a right to any of these things. So that gets rid of all the above as well. So let's go none of the above. Now, I'm probably not going to do real well on this. I'm just going to submit the quiz. But turns out I got the first one right. The rest, you're on your own. But you are generally, hopefully now understanding what it takes to answer each one of these. Yeah, and that took a couple of minutes to work through. I understand. Slow down, take your time. They're intended to be difficult. We go back to our coursework. Then we have a what's your opinion. If you took HR with me, you've seen this before. So under the collaboration tab, we have forums laid out. So I click on the forums, and right there we have a week 1, what's your opinion? Great. So I click on that. Click on the post, and it's a video. So Professor Nagel has asked me to watch a video and post my reaction. A couple of you have actually already done that. So just like this, you're going to want to hit reply, and then tell me what you think. So the question is about public figures and celebrities. The video is going to give me some background on that. So to complete that correctly, it doesn't work because I'm in emulation mode. I would just hit reply and post what I think on there. Again, your opinion should be academically honest and intellectually honest. It shouldn't be, I agree, or I don't think so. Explain it to me. These are easy points to get as long as you're actually putting in an effort. And that is basically it for week 1. You have the orientation quiz, the what's your opinion, and the quiz 1. You're going to see this every week. Week 2 is where things get more interesting. Again, we've got some reading to do. We've got some PowerPoints to review. You see that we have a what's your opinion again, our week 2 quiz, but we have something called a weekly case dissection. I am going to email around a sample case dissection of Turner versus Memorial Medical Center. But this assignment in week 1, we are dissecting Narian versus EGL Incorporated. Now we know this is on page 37 of the textbook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the dissection. I'm going to upload my Word file by clicking this. I'm going to choose my file. And then I upload it. I am not done yet. This has not been submitted. I have to make sure that I click on this blue box. So I am not going to click on it. But if you don't click on this, your assignment will not be uploaded. And I understand that's kind of confusing. You just make sure you click on the thing. So how do we do these weekly case dissections? You're going to have one every week except week 1, and everyone's doing the same dissection. So if you download this case dissection format from the main page, it's going to show you how to do 2 separate types of dissection. So here's our weekly case dissection. And again, I'm going to email you around my full example, but we're going to look for specific issues in a case. We need to break down the jurisdiction. Jurisdiction comes in 2 pieces. Geographically, where are we at? So we're talking about a state or a federal circuit. Well, we're talking about a state or the federal level. And then what courtroom are we in? Are we in a Supreme Court? Are we in an appellate court? Are we in a circuit court? Are we in an agency? The parties, tell me who's fighting. Who are the two people or two groups involved in this dispute? And then tell me what role they take. Is it a plaintiff? Is it a defendant? Is it an appellant? Is it an appellee? This tells us, again, more information. A plaintiff is someone who starts a lawsuit. This is also known as a petitioner in agency law. A defendant is someone that responds to the lawsuit. They're accused of doing some wrongdoing. In agency law, this is also a respondent. An appellant is someone who is appealing the decision from the lower court. They said, hey, the court screwed up the decision, I'm going to appeal it. The appellee is the person responding to that. Usually they won at the lower court. So appellant is doing the appealing, the appellee is along for the ride in trying to defend the court's decision. In every single case, you're going to have a legal issue. The legal issue should always be phrased in the form of a question. Very rarely is it not going to be able to phrase in the form of a question. This is the ultimate question that the court is answering to solve the party's dispute. So in this particular case, the court is trying to figure out, can you fire an employee for raising a public policy issue, or are they protected? The disagreement, tell me the story of what's going on. So in this case, the hospital fired a guy for raising issues over a failure to chart properly. He is claiming he was wrongfully discharged in violation of public policy. So this becomes a competition between public policy and at-will employment in the state of Illinois. When the court is analyzing the two parties' positions, there's always going to be some law or some precedent they look to. So we want to know what controls the court's decision. In this particular case, they look at a piece of legislation, the Medical Patients' Rights Act, which is establishing what the public policy is. And they are also saying, well, we also have our state at-will employee law. The cases you read in the book are exceptionally abridged. That means they are cutting out all the citations. They're cutting out big chunks of the judicial opinion just to kind of give you the heart of the matter so it's easier to understand. So in the judge's decision, they don't actually tell us what the case is. They don't give us the citation, but they talk about that it establishes at-will employment law. Then we need to know, what is the holding? So after the judges have heard the disagreement, they've looked at all the controlling law, what is the answer to the legal issue? And in this case, there's no exception to the at-will employment law for public policy under the Medical Patient Rights Act. So it's okay to fire Turner. Now this is just the format, right? So if you scroll, if you take these questions right here, and you should probably copy and paste this or base your weekly dissection on this outline. So every week, when you do a weekly case dissection, you're going to give me the name of the case, tell me the jurisdiction, tell me the parties, tell me the legal issue, tell me what's the disagreement, what law case is controlling, and tell me the holding. And then you are going to upload that under the coursework, under weekly case dissection, right? Remember, you've got to click the blue box or it doesn't upload. Also new in week 2, you're going to see something called a case dissection comment/question. Now if you click on this, it's just going to tell you the assignment is not completed here, right? Because this is going to be on the forum. There is no final presentation in this class. Instead, each of you will be doing work every week in presenting it to the class as a whole. Now, no one is working in week 1, except me. I did this for you. So to complete your case dissection comment question, you're going to go to the Collaboration tab. You'll click on Forums, and then every week there's going to be a student with the name of a case. They are laid out, so for example, week 2, this is the week that you have to post a comment or question. The student will be working on their case dissection before that. So I worked on this during week 1. Your job to complete the question assignment is to click on this. Click on the case that I read, and then read my dissection. Okay? What's going on here is that the student has been provided a full legal case. This is unabridged. You are going to read a full legal decision, and then you're going to do the same issue, the same thing. You're going to dissect it into its main components. Employment law is a huge body of work that is always changing, always evolving, and the book just isn't big enough, and we don't have enough time for everybody to read all the important cases. So each student is going to be presenting one important case in American history to the class. So the whole class doesn't need to read Korematsu versus the United States. I've read it, I've dissected it for you guys, so you can kind of just read the highlights. So think of this as the cliff notes for the class. So your assignment in week 2 is to read this case and then post a comment or question. So you're going to click reply and then ask me a question or post a comment. So again, has to be intellectually honest and open. Put some effort into it. If you have to ask what counts and what doesn't count, it probably doesn't count. So that, by posting that comment or question, is what you need to do to accomplish your case dissection comment question assignment. Again, each week, one of you is going to be posting, one or more of you is going to be posting these in the forums. On a Sunday, I'm going to email you a case, the Sunday before it's due. So Mr. Caldwell, Ms. Hicks, you will be getting a case to dissect at the end of week 1. You will work on this during week 2, and it will be due at the end of week 2. Everyone else, it's listed as week 3, right? Because your question and comment to Mr. Caldwell and Ms. Hicks are due in week 3. Same thing for Ms. Chindra, Mr. Nolhoff, Mr. Marinan. As we go down, you can find your week. Each of you will have a week to work on these cases and then upload your dissection, just like I did for Korematsu. Right? And it should look something like this. To give you a little more feedback, we go back to that case dissection assignment. This was on the main course page. Remember, I downloaded this before, right here. So we scroll to page 2. For the individual case dissection, we want to take the exact same outline, the exact same approach, but we're adding some things to it. We're adding a historical or cultural background section. This is kind of giving the rest of the students an idea of why this case came down. What was going on in the world, what was going on in these parties, what was going on in society that made this case important. When you're talking about the legal issue and the disagreement and the holding, these need to be in paragraph form. We do need to see some writing skills here. In your individual or your weekly case dissections, there can be bullet pointed or clips and phrases, just like this. But for your individual case dissection, we want to see them in paragraph form. You're also going to have a section at the end called Why This Case is Important. This section is the main part of your individual case dissection. All of the cases that you've been assigned are going to have some level of importance. Whether some of them are cultural, some have a change in the national makeup of the law, some of them are important on a state level. It's going to give everyone important guidance on the legal issue and controversy. You should always check to see if the case is good law. If you aren't checking to see if your case is good law, then you aren't doing it right. Mr. Caldwell and Ms. Hicks, particularly important, you guys should check and see if those cases still count. And then you want to compare that to the current law. If your case has been overturned, tell us what case overturned it. Tell us how things have changed. When you are doing this, you are going to have to do a little bit of outside research. I don't think you're going to need to spend hours in a library. I think some basic Google searches are going to turn up all the answers you need. I do not expect you to use citations. I don't need to see where you got your source information. I just want you to display the information. This is not really an assignment where we worry too much about plagiarism, because I'm expecting you to pull important pieces out of the case itself, or maybe out of other cases that reference it. So we're looking at the individual case dissection outline here. This is what you should base your individual case dissection from. Again, jurisdiction, our parties, our historical cultural context, the legal issue, what's the disagreement, what law case is controlling, what is the holding, what did the court decide, and then why is this case important. You will not post these, you will not upload these to the coursework, you will not email these to me. Once you have completed it, what you're going to do is go into the collaboration tab. Hopefully go into the collaboration tab if the internet agrees. Then you're going to go to the forums, and you're going to find the folder with your name on it. So for example, Mr. Caldwell is going to read QMT. He's going to dissect it. Then he's going to post it. He's going to click on Add a Post, and then I would copy and paste this in. I would work on it in a Word document. You don't want to trust Inside Ranken or the Internet. And then come week 3, we're all going to read it, and we're going to comment on it. If you have a question about this process, or if your dissection is going well, contact me. Let me know. Again, I will email you your case the week before it's due. I will, again, confirm when it's due and when it should be posted online. And then you will upload your answer to the collaboration tab. And if we sneak a peek at the coursework, every week after that looks fairly similar. Every week, you are either going to be posting a dissection, you're going to post a weekly dissection. This is from the book. Everyone's doing the same weekly case dissection. You're going to have a what's your opinion? You will have a quiz, and then you will need to ask a comment or a question on someone's dissection on the forum tab. Now, please note, you don't need to ask yourself a question. You don't need to comment on it. As people are posting their questions, you do not need to answer those. This will become part of your final. So if we look through week 3, same stuff, right? Week 4, same stuff. You will only be doing one individual case dissection. That's kind of going to be your big assignment. Now, as we come down to week 8, again, things are going to change only slightly. You still have your weekly case dissection. You still have a comment or question to ask someone. The grade for your individual case dissection that you posted is just listed here at number 30. There's no work to do there. However, assignment 31, at the end in week 8, as part of your final, I'm going to email you the best 6 questions that were asked to you. And if some of these will be questions of my own making, and you're going to answer them. So this, you're going to be emailed a Word document. You can just type the answers directly into it, and then you're going to upload it here in the individual case dissection follow-up questions. That's in week 8. Again, the final exam is listed down here. You can take that at any time. I highly recommend you wait till week 8, though. And then everybody always asks, hey, I missed a bunch of points. I don't know what happened. I need some extra credit. So we do have an extra credit dissection. On the main page, at the top right, it says extra credit, Lochner versus New York. This is another full legal case. It's going to be about bakers in New York. Read this case, do an individual case dissection in Word format, and then you're going to upload it to Coursework. So the extra credit, you aren't posting anywhere. You're actually going to upload it to the Coursework right here. The assignments in this class are exceptionally difficult. I understand that. They're designed that way for a reason. My ultimate goal, again, is to make sure that you understand these concepts. You need to understand and be able to pull out the abstract concepts from these cases and from these readings, and then apply them to new facts into new areas. That's how the law works. That's what lawyers do for a living all day long. It is very, very rare that we find a situation on our desk that is exactly like a case that someone else decided a few years ago. We have to figure out how new facts of Technicolor people are going to work with black and white law. And it creates a lot of gray area. So we have to work through that. And my goal is, again, for you to walk out of this class equipped to understand how things are going to work in the gray area, where you can go get answers, be proactive in taking care of problems, and understand when you need to call the lawyers in. So I think, again, this understanding is going to make you more valuable at work, make you a more effective supervisor, and again, just help you and the company avoid problems before they come up. If you have any questions, please call, please email, let me know. Otherwise, good luck, and I will be here to help you along the way.